Hi, Allie. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Paul?
Excellent. Thank you for being here. Allyson Malandra is with us, actor, singer, dancer, VO artist, teacher, and if that's not enough, owner of a social media management and marketing company. God, I'm feeling inadequate right now. How do you do it? Oh my God. I know it's been a few years, but this is awesome. You're creative not just as an actor and a performer, but it's in your business as well. And I want to get to all of this. It's really fascinating, and I'm really proud of you.
Thanks,
But
Paul.
for the loyal TV watchers out there, especially late at night or on those obscure channels, I think people can still see you and I, if memory serves me, in a bug commercial, a Sonic Zapper ad. I think you and I did back in 2017. You remember that?
I absolutely do. And then remember they had like the live animals. They were like bringing in there was, I mean, I wasn't there for that portion, but I think you might have been, but they had like a live rat or something or a mouse or something.
Not only live, but I heard they were trained.
Oh yeah.
I remember the executive producer saying, "We have trained rats, so we have trained roaches
Roaches. Yeah.
on set." Like, okay, am in your boat. I did not see them at that point. It was just plug it in, look happy, pet the dog, and that was our day. See, it's not just the actors, folks, that go to the conservatories. It's also the cockroaches and the
Roaches.
rats.
Yeah. In case you're
Unbelievable.
wondering.
Just unreal. Anyway, I forgot that you were from Bucks County, as am
Yes.
I. Whereabouts in Bucks?
I'm originally from Langhorne, and funny enough, I actually live in Langhorne again. So I've lived a couple different places, but after I got married, I found myself back here again.
I was guessing Doylestown, but I wasn't sure.
My gosh, wow, we're really close.
BFA for you in theater from Shenandoah Conservatory. While you were in your undergrad, you went off to England to study for a bit. You were at the London Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts. Tell me briefly about that. Was that fun? Was it cutthroat? Was it serious? What was it like?
My time at RADA was amazing. So it was in between my junior and senior year of college of undergrad. Also, on a side note, if you hear me huffing and puffing, I'm like 9 months pregnant right now. So I, I sometimes like lose my breath. Anyway, yeah, I went to RADA there, and it's funny because before we left, this was in like 2005 time. I don't know. We just had this idea as American actors, right? Like British actors are so good. They're so technical. And we just had this feeling like going there, like they're going to look down on us and think that we're terrible American actors and they're going to judge us. So it was me and two of my friends from undergrad. We went to the summer school. It was like a summer Shakespeare school. So we were there for like a little bit more than 4 weeks. It was kind of like a 5-week program. And we get there, surreal moment. We walk in to see we got there a couple days early, obviously, to adjust. We walk into the building to like see the building, and who is inside but Alan Rickman is like
Wow.
standing there talking. We're like, where are we going to school? Like, what? Alan Rickman's just like standing here, and his voice is like unmistakable. So we were like, what? And he was like talking to somebody, and then he walked away, and we were just like totally blown away. Like that just made our whole experience right there. But getting down to the nitty gritty, RADA was nothing like the stuck up place that I thought it was going to be. It is rigorous, but they had such respect for every person that was there. It was so in depth. It was taught like a conservatory program. So we had a class of sonnets where we learned from like Sheila Allen, who's best friends with, what's his name? Patrick?
Patrick Stewart?
Patrick Stewart. Yeah.
Wow.
We had like our teachers that taught us like Shakespeare itself, where we worked on, actual monologues and scenes. But then we had stage combat, armed stage combat, unarmed stage combat, improv. It ran the gamut of, we had voice and speech. Well, we actually had voice class and separate speech class. So every day was divided into these like little hour-long segments, and it was like 9 to 5. And we just learned all this different stuff in a wide range of techniques from all these amazing British teachers. In fact, actually, some of them were American still, but it was unbelievable. Like I came out of that place having a different respect. And I went to a conservatory for undergrad, so it was still great training at Shenandoah. But this was next level. And it also just went so in depth with Shakespeare, voice and speech, like really core acting things that my music theater program didn't.
It was like a program on steroids. It just made you more confident, I assume.
So much more confident. Also, exposure in London to just like their theater scene was hands down incredible because theater there is so much, it's subsidized. So it's cheaper, more affordable. We saw so many shows, such great theater. And yeah, it just exactly exposed me. It gave me more tools and gave me such amazing training in the matter of like 5 weeks.
Just 5 weeks, you had that incredible experience.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Unbelievable. So you go from, you're at Shenandoah, then you go to London. So how did you end up in Iowa for your MFA?
Actually, this is where it gets kind of interesting. I'll try and keep it brief. So I graduated with my BFA music theater, 2006. I was a professional actor in musicals. Like I did a national tour, I was doing regional theater, I was doing all this different stuff. Got my equity card, was really excited. I lost my voice. So as a singer who, like a professional singer who's a music theater person, but a singer for the most part, without my voice, I was sort of like, what I'm like, okay, I'm still an actor. I was having all these vocal issues, but I could still perform as an actor. I would go into audition rooms and casting directors would look at my resume and they'd be like, you have all these musicals on your resume. Why are you here auditioning for a play? It felt very odd to me because, like, honestly, like, if you're doing musicals, you're still acting. But it just seemed very, in our industry at that time, people were really just focused. It seemed a lot of people that I was running into in casting rooms were focused like you were a music theater performer or you were an actor. You couldn't, like, be both. I was getting frustrated because of that. I was meeting a lot of resistance. I wasn't involved in like TV, film, commercials yet. I was really strictly doing a lot of theater because I sort of didn't realize that it was open to me. I was like, I'm at a crossroads. I either go back to school and I go to school to be a lawyer, or I go to law school, or I go back to school and I get my master's in acting because I wanted people to take me seriously as an actor. And it just seemed like they wouldn't take me seriously as an actor until I had more actor credits or something. It just felt very like I just kept hitting that wall over and over again. And I was like, with my master's, I can at least take control over my, I just wanted more training. I wanted time to take control over my career. Long story short, I ended up getting my MFA, University of Iowa. I found myself at Iowa sort of serendipitously. A friend of mine that I worked with in Philadelphia at a restaurant, she went to Temple for acting. And she was like, oh yeah, we do this class. It's like a MFA audition prep class with a woman named Donna Snow. And I was like, okay. She's like, just like come, because she knew I was like interested in getting my master's. She's like, why don't you just come and like sit in on the class, see if you like it, see if you like Donna. It could be really helpful for you. And I was like, okay. So I went and I sat in on a class or two and I was like, wow, this class is amazing. Donna is incredible with the students. Even if you're not going to audition for your MFA, it's like a class that's geared towards building up your monologue repertoire and auditioning, which is like brilliant. Like what actor doesn't need an auditioning class, you know? Right. So, I sat in on that one for the first year, auditioned, wasn't happy with the results I got. So the next year I actually contacted Donna and she let me, through the university, take that class for the semester as a continuing education student. Met Donna, did that, auditioned for my MFA, got better results my second year. But Donna herself was like, I think you might really enjoy this MFA program at University of Iowa, and there's somebody I want you to meet. So Donna connected me to John Cameron, who used to run the program at Iowa. And it was only because of Donna that I went to Iowa. So, and then they let me audition for them separately. Turned out that they really enjoyed me. I really enjoyed them. We really clicked together. And it was like, thank you for putting me here because I cannot say enough good things about my MFA experience at that school.
Wow. It's interesting how just the advice of one individual can put you on this trajectory.
Isn't it wild? Like, if I had never met Donna, I would never have ended up there. I mean, even just Donna thinking that I could be right for this program, and then it turning out that I really was. And the program was really, when you're looking for your master's, like your MFA, like there's so many programs out there and they're so different. And it's not like I went into the process being like, I want to get into the best program. But the best program for you isn't always what's best on paper. I was dead set on like getting more classical training and stuff, but to be honest with you, I'm personally happy I didn't, because in the landscape of things, classical theater is sort of, there's not as many opportunities, things like that. But also for me, it just turned out that for me and my style and what I found that I ended up loving and what has really served me as an artist is everything that Iowa specializes in, which is new work. So like the playwrights workshop is there. So I got to work with all these amazing like upcoming playwrights, and being immersed in that atmosphere, I was like, oh, this is way more me.
It's from what you described earlier, it's confounding, and it's also a bit depressing that it seemed like you were already placed in a silo based on your theater and voice background. And that you didn't have enough credits as an actor, and they're saying to you, like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that you would be pigeonholed like right off the bat that way, just based on training and based on still being in school, not even being in the world yet of performing. It's disheartening to think that they wouldn't encourage like a well-rounded discipline.
Yeah.
At that time in your life.
It was really frustrating, because I'm like, just because I sing doesn't mean that I'm not a great actor. I mean, some of the boss singers like Audra McDonald is an amazing actor who her acting through her singing is what makes her singing so so powerful. And it was really frustrating being so pigeonholed or siloed, like you're saying. Like, I can't believe I feel like I have to go go back to school just to prove that I can be an actor. Especially, it was like
tough.
Yeah.
It's like we don't do enough, right?
Yeah, I know.
It's like, nah, this is your silo. Stick with it. Be happy there. You don't have what it takes for the other stuff. Blah blah blah. It's just it's tough. I don't know what to say other than it's difficult. It's so hard to get to book gigs as it is.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And then I'm like, shouldn't you be celebrating the fact that I have more skills, not like diminishing them? But
you would think.
You
would think. But it sounds like theater was your cup of tea right off the bat. I saw on your website some of the more notable roles you enjoyed. You were Amy Macklin in Dryland at the Contemporary American Theater Festival, and then you played Roxy in Chicago.
Yes.
And you even were Desdemona in Othello.
Yes.
Are you going to go see the new production on Broadway?
I really want to see it. I really do. I'm not a big Jake Gyllenhaal fan, but I'm a big Othello fan. So, yeah.
Interesting. Do you think, just a quick aside, do you think star power on Broadway is a good thing or a bad thing?
Oh, gosh. It's such a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah.
It's such a double-edged sword because you know what? If it's going to get people interested in theater and bring them to the theater, good, because unfortunately live theater is not, it's sort of in a QVC boat, right? It's not, it's fading. People don't want to sit for longer than an hour. Even movies, like an hour and a half is pushing it. Attention spans. On top of that, it's expensive. Like, who can afford to go to Broadway all the time if there's like $500 tickets? I mean, it's insane.
I heard the good seats for Othello are going for $1,000.
I can imagine, because I don't even want to know what that payroll is. For them plus everything else, all the people who work the everything. It's a good thing to get people interested. Like, if it's gonna bring eyes and get people interested in what the story is and get people there, that's a good thing. I also just really hesitate because of that. Then it makes theater more unreachable for more people, right?
Right.
We want to make it as accessible to as many people as possible. And then with the stars in it, like you just said, the price tag. And on top of that, sometimes they're just not great. Like, I hate to say it, but like, they're just not good. And I'm like, so people think that that's what good theater is?
And that's what I'm thinking. It's like, is it really about the art? Is it about the production? Or is it more about, I just want to see a movie star?
Exactly.
on a stage.
Look, I love Al Pacino, right? But I saw him in The Merchant of Venice.
Hmm.
He was much older. So it's hard to do Shakespeare if you're 20, let alone if you're 80, memorize your lines and things like that. But it was something. I don't mean to sound like a snob, but like it was not good. It was not good Shakespeare. It was Al Pacino just being Al Pacino. And I was like, okay, but I would rather pay this ticket price to see Mark Rylance and I saw like the Mark Rylance tour when they came around, and some of those seats he made accessible, like $35. And that was some of the best Shakespeare I've ever seen in my entire life. And it didn't have any super famous people in it. They're just really good. And I was like, I guarantee you, somebody sitting in a seat for that production would have gotten more out of it than the Al Pacino.
I guess we're leaning toward less star wattage on Broadway and more focus on the art. But that pesky dollar, I think, just gets in the way, doesn't it?
Especially it does. And getting people to produce, getting people to put their money behind the production. If you say Denzel's in it, of course, everybody be throwing money at it.
So getting back to our stratosphere of theater, take me back to the Contemporary American Theater Festival and your performance in Dryland. Why was that so special to you?
You're not familiar with the play, correct?
No. Right.
Okay, cool. So the play was written, I think the girl who wrote it was only maybe 21 at the time. That doesn't really matter, I guess. But the play itself is really special, holds a special place in my life. Thinking about it, I was getting goosebumps thinking about it. Just the writing is it's hard to explain, but the best way I could explain it is when you read the play, it's written so clearly as if we're speaking. It's one of those plays where it's so close to just regular natural dialogue. It seems like, oh, that's so easy, but it's so well written and so close to natural dialogue that it's so hard to get there. And underneath all that dialogue that is seemingly just like two high school kids hanging out talking is so much layered in there. And a brief synopsis of the plot is I played Amy Macklin. Amy is she's on the swim team. There's another girl who's on the swim team too. Amy's the cool girl. She's a little rough and tough, and she's sort of like a bully. And she befriends this other girl who's on the swim team, who's much more shy, reserved. As it turns out, the main plot is that Amy gets pregnant and doesn't want to have the baby. She wants to have an abortion, but she's too scared to tell her you can sort of gather she doesn't come from the best home life throughout the play. And so she does all these different things to try and induce an abortion. She ends up having an abortion in the locker room of her swim team. And it's about friendship. There's also this underlining theme of, because the play takes place in Florida, but there's this underlining theme of the Seminole Native Americans who were displaced from the Everglades, and how they took this patch of land, this area of the world that's normally, Everglades, it's water, it's swampland, and they made it dry land. The forcing of something to be what it's not, and sort of the ripping away too of rights from women, and there's just all these intense themes. But I just found myself growing a lot as an actor in that process. I found myself realizing a lot of what my MFA journey had been, which is instead of pushing to get something, pushing to get, we want this thing, we have this thing in our minds of how we want it to be, what we want our artistry to be, how we want things to go, but really learning how to begin to let go. The rehearsal process is the rehearsal process. You work and you work and you work. And then when you're in performance, you really have to let that go and just be with your partner. And I think in that process, I really began to click into I began to see my pushing and my driving. I can only describe it sort of like this. I'm a fighter. A Philly. We're from Philly. We fight, right? We're fight or flight. We're we are the fight.
I hear you.
Yes. And my gritty Philliness, but how much more powerful and hard it is to just be and breathe and then allow and trust, right? Allow and trust. And the trust is so hard. But I think in that process, I finally began to really understand the letting go I don't think I was 100% successful at it, but it began to really click for me. I could go on about the show forever. But the show is unlike a lot of other shows out there. I mean, it's pretty graphic when things happen in the like 3/4 of the way through the show. When Amy does have that miscarriage in the locker room, it's extremely graphic. You go through the entire process. And also in the end, her friendship with the other girl who supports her, by the end of the play, like roles almost reversed. Not fully reversed, but the friendship of these two women getting themselves through this thing that like 17-year-olds shouldn't have to deal with on their own, and the complications of that too. So,
well, it sounds like the play really hit a lot of chords.
No, yeah, big time.
That's theater. I mean, is it not? It's to explore these themes. It's to really dig deep and to create an arc as a character, because the theater is where actors truly act, right? As opposed to the screen where we're kind of just, globs of paint on the painting, and hopefully the director uses us. Hopefully we get flicked onto the brush, and hopefully we get smeared onto the canvas of that blank card in the camera. Eventually, it wasn't just all theater for you.
Yeah.
Obviously, given your talent, you eventually got into the bread and butter of the Philly market, which is basically the commercials, the industrials. And recently you did an ad where you were the star of the show. You have a lot going on in this business solver spot. Now, I'm a big fan of golf, and I started watching the TGL League on ESPN this year. And there you were, right on the first episode in January. I'm like, whoa. That's Allie. And I literally, my eyes literally bugged out of my head. I literally clapped for you. I was so happy to see somebody do something. So, I mean, tell me about the audition, tell me about the shoot, but I have to imagine right off the bat, commercials, you have commercials, and then you have the one lines in commercials or the one lines in TVs or movies, which Diane here of Herein Casting has said, those are the hardest things for an actor to pull off, because we tend to get too much in our heads. In your case, in this business solver spot, it's no words, it's MOS, but you got to nail the poses while all the stuff's happening, wind blowing in your face, stuff going on, confetti and shit, behind you. It's got to be, I would think it'd be difficult, but you tell me the story. What was the experience like?
It was so much fun. That commercial was so much fun to shoot. Oh my gosh. I know, it's so funny that you saw that. They had told us that it was going to air. They're like, it's going to air during Tiger Woods' new golf league. And I was like, what? And they were like telling us all about the golf league. But anyway, side note, yeah, it was so much fun. First off, I think like they just went into it when I auditioned for it, it was just, the audition was sort of open-ended. I guess sometimes I do better that way too, because like you're saying, if it's one line, you get into your head and you're like, it has to be said this, like, whoa. But it was open-ended. It was just sort of more fun. I just had a ball during the audition, and then I ended up booking it, which was awesome. And then it was 2 days. We shot it actually in at Shadowlight Studios in Lancaster.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was 2 days there in their back sound studio, which is awesome. And the first day was mostly just like all the other office workers having a ball, which was awesome to watch too, because it was just like you're saying, like confetti going everywhere. Like they had the money gun, like shooting off. I was like, this is incredible. And I walked in and everybody had my head on it's like giant pictures, blown up pictures of my face on sticks. I was like, oh my gosh, my head is everywhere. Which was funny too, because when I signed in for the morning that day, I like came in and I was like signing in, and they're like, you're here for the business solver commercial. I was like, yeah, like, how do you know that? Like, I don't know. It's like weird. And then they're like, oh, your face is all over the place back there. And I was like, oh, and you know how it is with like commercials or film day shoots. They usually always have like a packet with the talent's faces in them. So I was like, okay, everybody must have really studied that packet like really hard. And then I got back to set and there was just giant pictures of my face everywhere. So I was like, oh, that's how they knew who I was.
Nice.
So then it was incredible. The director was awesome. Her name's Adrienne. The DP was awesome. I do forget his name, which is terrible. But they were really great, just keeping the fun alive. They were also like really professional on top of it, very specific. And then the second day, so the first day was like a lot of the background, but then we did a lot of the like big like office scenes, like the ones where the girls dancing on the table and all the confetti, and they're just like, you just need to be like, I got this. So we're just, having fun. The second day was a lot of me mostly, but the opening shot, which was this was the highlight of the shoot for me. I don't know why, but
Was this the elevator?
yeah. So the elevator, but then when I'm walking out of the elevator and it like changes scenes, and I'm like, it's like sort of like when I exit the elevator and it changes. I was riding on a dolly the whole time, and they're blowing the wind in my face with my hair, and like the light switch, and there's like confetti, and it was just, we did that like a million times, and it was just all about like, I guess my facial expressions. I don't know. But it was hysterical. Like, I don't know. I just tried to have fun the whole time.
Were you thinking like on those close-ups where it's facial expression time and you're doing 30, 40 takes? Did you ever get into your head going like, how many expressions can I make?
Yes. And then it's funny because the director kept telling me not to do like lifting my eyebrows. And so then I was like, oh no. So then I like but I was like confused I don't know. It was like a whole thing about like me lifting my eyebrows. And then I didn't lift my eyebrows. And then in the end, I think they used the lift eyebrows.
Yeah, it happens
like,
all the time.
In your head, you're like, I'm trying to be happy, but I like can't lift my eyebrows, but I can't. I don't know. It was
you throw everything, you vomit every expression out there and then let them pick.
Exactly.
How many times I can remember many times where someone told me not to do something and then it's in the final shot. It's in the final product.
For sure. And
I did Philly tourism. I'm laying on a bed with a girl and then there was room service on the bed and I kept picking up the strawberry and the photographer goes, "Don't pick up the strawberry." I'm like, okay. Guess what the billboard was? Me holding the strawberry. There was also in that spot an employee of the decade trophy. Did you get to keep that trophy?
Yeah, I know. It had my face on it. I did not. They like got a trophy made of me. Yeah, it's so funny. They did not, but I do have. It's so funny. At the end, I should run downstairs and grab it. I have like one of the heads of like my giant blown up face on a stick. I have it downstairs in my house. Like my daughter will play with it.
I have to imagine that they had to cast you fairly early on in the process in order to commission that golden trophy.
Yes, apparently, actually, they had to like put it on rush. Like when I was there the first day of filming, it had just come in. So they were like, oh, the trophy's here. Like, thank God. It was that whole team was so fun. That was a really fun set. Everybody there was like really positive. I think I have my BTS pictures are just like disco balls going, and they were like blasting music the one day just to like make everybody like party and stuff. I was like, it doesn't get much better than this. So
it's awesome. It's great to be the star of a show, whatever it is.
It's 100%.
I was at Shadowlight 3 weeks ago. I did a commercial. All I can say is that it involves a donkey, a real live donkey.
A real live donkey.
So if people are interested, just keep tabs on my social medias and eventually you'll see what I'm talking about. But yeah, I had an experience with a donkey a few weeks ago.
I need to see this. Yeah, seriously.
That's all I'm going to say. Speaking of cool sets or interesting sets, you're part of the Dan Lance universe.
Yes. Yes.
You got to do Hayride to Hell.
Yes.
As Betsy Butt and Alpha Rift.
Yes.
So were you in Cash Storm too?
Yes, I am. I have.
Oh my God, you did the trilogy too. Wow.
I did the trilogy too. I have like these random cameos in Cash Storm where I'm like Alice. Oh my gosh, what is my last name? Alice. I'm using it right now just because of pregnancy brain, but I'm like this reporter and I'm over the top. That's all that I'll say about Cash.
It's a choice and it's fun. So.
Yeah, and I get smacked in the face with like a fish. Like I
got smacked in the face with a donkey tail. So,
oh my gosh. Here we go. We're getting that.
I'm sorry to tease this during your podcast, but
no, I'm very into it. Yeah. I want to know also the animal, they're very strict with like animal restrictions on set. It's intense.
Mm-hmm.
For my Blue Buffalo commercial, they were more concerned about the dog than me, The dog is top priority. And it's wild how strict they can be about the animals on set too. Like I wasn't allowed to touch the dog until we were done because it would distract him. And like they're like he's working right now, so he really needs to focus. I was like,
oh yeah. We
Yeah.
had double. I remember there being double dogs, like twins on sets. I did a PetSmart ad, and they had one dog that would be riled up all night, and then they had one that was sequestered in a cage, so that at 3 a.m. when they needed a lively animal, they would take the one that was sequestered all night and not allowed to move or interact with anyone. So they had a backup for every dog on that show,
Yeah,
which is
wow.
fascinating.
That is fascinating. I know. It's like, I don't know, the animal protection laws and stuff are great because they need them, but like it's wild how they work with the animals, and how they train cockroaches is just the beginning, we said. So
Cockroaches, dogs, donkeys. You know, them and kids. That's what makes our gigs even more special and unpredictable and fun. But the Dan Lance experience, how was it?
oh, it's amazing. Dan is hilarious. I started working with him on Alpha Rift. I got that. I booked that job through Huey Loftus, and that was so much fun and wild, and sort of like his baby in a way too. It was like not the culminating achievement of his career, but it was his baby. So that was really fun and wild and just fun. I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is hilarious and fun, and we're doing all these crazy things. And then I got to work with Lance Henriksen on Alpha Rift.
Yeah.
Lance Henriksen is like, for those who don't know who he is, he's the trifecta of sci-fi. So he is Bishop from Alien. He's the cop in Terminator, and he's in Predator. So he's like the only person who's been in all three of those movies. And just Lance Henriksen is also like, if you look up his IMDb, he has like 350 credits. It's insane.
Yeah.
He does like video game voiceovers too, because his voice is so low. And so just like working with him was also just a highlight. I'm like, okay, this guy is a living legend. Tell me everything. And he's so cool. He talks so much about Alien too. Alien was his favorite movie he ever made. So that was already like such a cool experience, so much fun. We had a blast. I had a supporting character role, but then Dan called me up when he was making Hayride to Hell, and he told me, he's like, I'm making this horror movie. It's going to have Bill Moseley in it. Do you know who Bill Moseley is? And I'm like, I don't know who Bill Moseley is, but I'm going to look him up. And he was like, audition for like these different roles. So I auditioned for because Dan was like, I want you to audition, but also I'm not sure where to put you. So I auditioned, and then I got cast as Betsy, not realizing, like afterwards, I was like, oh shit, okay, cool. I get to really act with Bill Moseley.
Mm-hmm.
And that movie was quite an experience. It was just like, I don't know how to explain it. Dan's hilarious. We were just like roaming this farm, filming it in the fall. A couple things happened, so then we had to like push back some filming. Long story short, at the end of it, like my death scene, we were filming in like February. Ooh. It was freezing. Yeah, but he took good care of us. He really did. He took good care of me, especially too, because I had to be like covered in blood. So they were like constantly making sure I was okay. It's just how everything ended up like working out. One of my favorite pictures from that movie is like my eyeball getting ripped out of my head. Heart. So I have this like giant thing over my eye. Dan does all his own special effects too, which is really cool. He knows a lot about that side of things. So I've learned a lot actually about that from him. Mm-hmm. And you just always know that you're going to have fun. A lot of the same people, we work on all the movies together, so we know each other, and it's like being back together with like, oh yeah, the gang's back together. Like we're just going to have fun again and make a movie.
It's nice to have the family atmosphere when you work with people over and over again. I think it just makes you more relaxed as a performer.
100%.
You did the commercials, you're doing movies, and you still have your voice, you still have your training. And that seems to have come around again in terms of you as a teacher. So you're teaching, you taught at the Shakespeare Theater of New Jersey, you taught at Maggie Flanagan's acting studio in New York, and you're also an assistant teacher of the Fitzmaurice voice work. What is Fitzmaurice voice work?
Fitzmaurice.
Fitzmaurice.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome. No problem. So I actually did teach also at University of the Arts before it collapsed, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, which is like, yeah, a whole other thing. So I taught there last year, both fall and spring. And then last summer, I taught at Shakespeare Theater, New Jersey, and then taught at Maggie Flanagan this past fall. Fitzmaurice Voice Work. It was founded by Catherine Fitzmaurice. I will keep it concise because I could go on and on about this. I lost my voice, as I mentioned earlier in this podcast. And in grad school, something that Donna Snow began to teach me actually was some Fitzmaurice voice work when I was getting ready to audition for MFA program. And when I got to my MFA program, that was a huge technique of what was being taught in my voice and speech class. And me personally, I credit this technique for giving me the tools and also the ability to find my voice again. And what's incredible about Fitzmaurice voice work is that it is very much concentrated on authenticity of you, like the actor. And it's all about breath. Like our tagline is breathing is meaning, because breathing is the source of everything. Like breath is the source of everything. So it's focused on authenticity, breath, just sort of this very different way of what we call in our technique, like destructuring and restructuring. The easiest way I can put it is that voice and speech for, I don't know, the last century has gone from being something that was like very strict. Remember, like Americans, if you ever listen, even I was listening to the Charlie Chaplin, The Great Dictator video the other day, and the way he's speaking, he almost sounds British because it's like that old, like American speech. He's like, I don't even know how to say it. He's like, at this time in our land, like, what do you say? Hey, you know what I mean? They all sounded very similar, right?
It sounds like it was a less lazy way of speaking.
Yes, yeah. And there was like very heightened. So we went from like that. People weren't that strict still, but even when I was in undergrad, like general American speech was still being taught, like Edith Skinner and like how you should all sound so you have like no accent, neutral American dialect, whatever. And Catherine sort of came along in the 60s, 70s, which was like really advanced. And she was like, nah, F that. People need to sound like themselves. And people need to be authentic, because your voice, the authentic voice is always going to be better than something else. Long story short, I got certified in the technique over the course of our certification class. Had the pleasure of being over COVID. So we extended for an extra year. So I actually got extra training in a way. So I had been studying the technique throughout my MFA. Like I said, I studied it afterwards by doing like intensives. Like they offer 5-day intensives in New York City, things like that. And then I decided to get certified 2020, 2021, 2022. So for 3 years. And now I teach this technique. So I teach voice and speech, but a lot of my teachings come from Catherine and the Fitzmaurice technique, but a lot of it is also just other techniques too. See, I feel like I'm rambling. I know I am, but now I'm like, where was I going with this?
You're providing details. It's a good thing. That's what you're doing. So here's something for you.
Yeah.
So practically speaking, I'm an actor. I have a Zoom call back in an hour. What basic rudimentary vocal warm up can I do that'll make me feel a little bit more relaxed in front of the camera?
Great. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do, and there's like the beginning. There's a lot of stuff you can do, but we would definitely focus on your breath, because if you're tense and you're holding your breath, the rest of you is tense.
Okay.
You can't have sound unless you breathe. Our sound is literally made from breath. And so many times our habitual tendencies, you might always hold your breath and not realize it. You might always overbreathe. Some people overbreathe and then they get that like plosiveness at the beginning because they overcompensate. So it's about like freeing up of our breath and our breath systems so that we can speak. So an easy exercise that we do to start off every day, we call it like X ball shake, but it has to do with your muscles. Mm-hmm. X is like stretch. So you would like stretch. You can make the shape of an X, but you don't have to, but it would be a stretch and then a release and then a ball, or it's squeezing, a tightening and a release and then a shake and a release. Doing those sort of like preps your body and your muscles for what's coming next. I'd say that the most unique thing about Fitzmaurice voice work, which is where it gets really cool and wild, is that we call ourselves Trems because
Trems.
Trems, Trems.
Okay.
Because a huge part of the technique is Catherine's research that she did with a man based on this other scientist, based on this scientist, Wilhelm Reich from the 60s and 70s, who was like a psychologist. He did like all these like experiments with orgasm, but also with our body's trauma systems. And to put it quickly, we do these things called tremors.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of the destructuring process. So if we're going to get technical, there's 4 pillars of Fitzmaurice voice work: destructuring, restructuring, play, and presence. The destructuring and the restructuring is what forms sort of like our warm-ups and like what forms the core of the technique. The destructuring is about tremoring. So we put our bodies in sort of modified yoga positions and begin to ask our bodies to find this place between like flexed and released. That's sort of in between that invokes a tremor, literally a shake. And through tremoring, it actually oxygenates your blood. It also releases muscles and fascia. It also resets your breathing patterns. Once you get to the point where you can let go and let your body breathe you. So I always say, let your body breathe you. You don't breathe you don't control your breath. Your body should be breathing you. Like your body knows how to do it. So the goal of the tremor is the tremoring too has been seen in the animal kingdom. Animals that come close, animals don't have PTSD, right? Humans do. Animals don't hold, from what we can observe, animals don't hold a lot of, some hold trauma, but they're able to release trauma, especially those that live in the wild, like not domesticated animals. And they come close to like dying probably a lot. There's a lot of trauma that they encounter in the natural world of just survival. What they do is like there's this video of this polar bear who is tranquilized by scientists to like study him or to tag him quickly. And when he's coming out of the tranquilized process of being like under the tranquilizer, his entire body starts shaking. And it's a natural fight or flight response. We have it. Have you ever been so excited that you're shaking or nervous or cold? When you're cold, you're shivering, you're shaking. It's our body's natural process of oxygenating our blood. So like getting us warm. And it's also our way of like shedding off something that is affecting our nervous system. So the polar bear shakes as he comes to and then is able to like come to and run off without to let go of the trauma, right? It's our bodies. Mm-hmm. And they've studied this. They have scientific evidence about it. There's a lot of neurologists that talk about it too. And so basically through our tremoring, our destructuring, we're aiming to release muscles, release fascia, release breathing patterns, release trauma, release anything that's been put into a pattern so that we can get back to where we were as children, basically, wow. To release those breathing patterns, right? So that our breath can be fuller, our body can take over, our body can do what it naturally does. Our muscles can be looser too. Like we all know, we use the example of like a water bottle or something that has like water in it. If you like grip it really tight and make it tight and you try to hit it, there's no resonance, right? The resonance has been stifled because there's like nothing there to vibrate against. Our bodies need to be soft and pliable so that our resonance can happen throughout our bodies. This is especially important in theater too, because sympathetic resonance happens as well, meaning if you're playing a violin, and you hit a string, right? The other strings are actually vibrating too, just from the vibration of that string. Human bodies are the same. So when we're in the same collective space, anything that I'm feeling, you're sympathetically resonating with me and feeling as well. So the more that I can feel that and allow my body to resonate it, not just sound-wise, but emotion-wise, the more you can be affected by my voice as an audience member and my emotions as well. It's about creating this like resonance, this atmosphere for resonance to happen. Do you know what I mean?
I do. And I didn't expect this to be so integrated. So, how my voice comes across to someone is indicative of how open or constricted I am in my person.
100%. And it gets really deep too, because you walk into an audition room, right? You're already telling a story with your body, whether or not you realize you're telling a story with your body. Do you know what I mean? And people
Yes.
are receiving information from you, whether or not they realize they're receiving information from you too. And so there's a lot of goals with the technique too. It also gets into like communication theory, meaning like finding my need to communicate to you and being able to harness that with my voice is going to make me a more powerful actor, because I'm fully connected to what I need, right? Like in this moment, I'm talking to you, Paul. I know what it is that I need and what I'm trying to communicate.
Hmm.
And it's hard when we put somebody else's words in our mouths and
Yeah.
to communicate that. And so getting at the need and the want there and making that as authentic as possible, and then connecting with another human being in order to, we have to get out of our own ways too, in order to find our authenticity. And then once we can have that, being able to connect with the person who you're speaking to or whatever you're doing through that actual need, and like, what is that need, and leaning into that with an
Hmm.
open, receptive body, if that makes any sense.
It does.
Yeah. And like you're saying too, the integration, oh crap, what were you just saying before that?
Just the integration of the voice being a signal for how loose or relaxed we are in our bodies. The voice is just a barometer for how we are as a person. And I guess, like you said, it's even more vital as an actor, because if it's one thing to say the lines, but if we're not connecting with that viscerally, and as a having a relaxed instrument as a performer, then we're doing the story a disservice, because
Yes.
we're not being authentic in our performance. Is that fair to say?
Oh, you just nailed it. 100%. And Fitzmaurice takes it even further. Your breath is your barometer too. Your actual just breathing patterns are a barometer in your body. And then that leads into your voice being a barometer, and then like exactly what you're saying. So,
Okay.
but that's exactly it. You just nailed it.
Cool. I appreciate the in-depth explanation. And again, I didn't realize just how connected it was, because people just think your voice is one thing, your gesticulations as an actor is another, and memorizing is another thing, but it's all integrated. So the more balanced we are as individuals, the less trauma we're holding. That's going to create access to the full spectrum of our voices.
Exactly.
Cool.
And being able to show up fully as you. There's 3 articles that are public. I'm pretty sure they're like publicly available, that Catherine's son wrote. Catherine's son is named Saul Katsubai. I might be butchering his last name. Saul Katsubai. He teaches the technique too. The reason why I love Saul's teachings, he's really amazing at putting things that are difficult to put into words, like intangible things. He's amazing at translating them into words that are just easy to read and understand, which is such a talent. He's also really incredible with presence. So he's like a master at like presence and honing your own presence and things like presence work. But there are these 3 articles. It's like to breathe or not to breathe, you're getting warmer, and stand up and express yourself. And they're just 3 really good articles that just, not even talking specific Fitzmaurice technique, but just in general about like breath work and speech work for actors. And highly recommend them. That's my mini plug for 3 articles.
Beautiful, beautiful. Clearly, you have a knowledge and a passion for this, and I appreciate the explanations. Thank you. No, it's great. And you think that would be enough, but no, it goes further, folks. So I'm talking to the owner and the founder of a media company. Really? Cutting Board Media, a social media management and marketing company specializing in food and beverage. So, like, where did you find the time to launch this endeavor?
Oh, I know. Oh my gosh. I feel like I'm all over the place. But as actors, I feel like we have to be. Maybe not all over the
Yeah.
place. We just have to, like, I don't know, constantly evolving, constantly searching, constantly changing. Anyway, I've been in the food and beverage industry on and off for like 25 years, which is insane.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so on it, in different roles too. I've been worked in like catering. I was a server. I was a bartender. I was a manager. And I started doing social media for my husband's old company, which was a brewery, back in 2019, I want to say. And I had done like my own funny social media pages. I used to have this like social media page that made fun of Yelp reviews. Anyway, just to have fun on the side. And anyway, so I started running social media for my husband's brewery in 2019. I found that I loved it because it felt like a creative outlet, right? It's like creating these little videos. I would create like little short videos. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like kind of creative. And taking photography, I was like, whoa, taking pictures and creating videos is something that I love doing. And I felt like it was like another extension of my creativity in a way. And then I left there in early 2022 and started running all 5 accounts for a local business in Yardley, Vault Brewing. And I used to run all of their social media accounts, food and beverage wise, for the last 3 years. Yeah, so I did that as like my, my paycheck money, because I have a daughter and another kid on the way. So it's like, you have to have like some steady income somehow, I guess. I don't know.
No, I get it. Totally. No, it's cool. And if I may quote you, you have this one cool post that you put up recently where you equate social media with food. Oh, yeah. And I'm assuming you wrote this, but it's really accurate and it's really funny. So the post goes, if social media platforms were food, and you wrote, Instagram is avocado toast. It's trendy, it's aesthetic, everyone loves it until the algorithm changes. TikTok is spicy ramen. It's fast, it's addicting, and sometimes chaotic, but you keep coming back for more. Facebook is stale bread. It's still hanging around, but it's not as fresh as it used to be. YouTube, this is my favorite, is slow cooked brisket. Hey now, it takes time, but it's worth it for high quality content. And I like to think that's what I'm doing here. And finally, LinkedIn is Caesar salad, where you're trying to look professional, but you're still a little boring. Did you write that?
I wrote a lot of it, but like the master idea for it, I have to say, is from ChatGPT.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. Okay. All right.
So ChatGPT gave me the master idea to like but ChatGPT's suggestion was to make it a one poster thing, kind of a thing.
Okay.
Like make a poster and like a single post. So I use ChatGPT for inspiration, but then I always take everything and then make it 90% of the time have to throw some other spin in there, because ChatGPT is great for inspo. But I think like when it comes down to the human aspect of it, I'm like, oh no, I want to put my spin of flavor on this or whatever. The idea, they were like giving suggestions. There was like compare social media channels to foods. And I was like, oh, it's so good, so.
ChatGPT is scary good, is it not?
It's scary good. Yes.
Oh God. So that brings me to like, you had this one sentence on your website that I thought was adorable, where you say, new pieces of art is what feeds your soul as an artist. Mm-hmm. And clearly art encompasses your entire life, from performing and to business. So it begs the question, what's your take on artificial intelligence? Is it going to just stay a tool? Is it going to take over the creative? What's your feelings on it?
I don't think, it's going to keep getting better and better. Let's be honest. At where it's at right now, it could never take over the position of a human, because it's just not refined enough. And it's great for ideas. Like I was saying, like I get so many cool ideas from it. But then in the end, I've even given it details on each business that I work for or manage, social media for or marketing for. And still in the end, I always have to tweak it myself, just because it just needs that extra human touch, like always. I don't know. Maybe, you know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah. But I think it's scary to think about. Bill Gates put out some quote the other day that, like, I think he said in the next 40 years, humans, like most human positions, will be completely obsolete. And I was like, oh my gosh,
that's what I'm reading too. And I'm reading even sooner. It's a friend of mine recently went on ChatGPT, and we talked as AI pertains specifically to actors. Given everything that's out there, and I'm telling you, it's regardless of how you feel about it or not, you have to go online and you have to look at the samples that are there, like from Google, Veo to there's all these AI channels that are showing you what's available. And what's available, as you and I speak, are photorealistic digital avatars, replicants, where you really can't tell if it's AI or if it's a human.
I know it's scary.
It's at the point now where these avatars are interacting physically with objects that react accurately and realistically to physics, to light and how light and shadow and how it reflects off of a face or an object. And then just yesterday or this last week, I saw that they have robots that will hold film cameras and that they will get into the cracks and crevices of a shot and won't ask for a bathroom break. They won't complain.
Oh my gosh.
So there's that. And then we basically asked the question of ChatGPT, given all this technology, what's the viability for human beings to be needed as performers? And I hate to break it to you, but ChatGPT said human beings will probably be obsolete as performers within 3 to 5 years. That's based on the information that's out there and the progression of the AI. So I feel like it just comes down to whether or not we as a society and as humans just allow this to take over everything it could theoretically take over, or do we relegate AI as a tool to help our lives, not to take over our lives?
I'm in the latter camp, obviously, because, what are we going to do? It's going to be like, have you seen the movie? Like, what is it? Weibo? Oh, no, it's Wall-E. What am I saying? Weibo. Wall-E. It's Wall-E.
That's right.
Wall-E.
It's been a minute, folks. Sorry.
Oh, man, that's so funny. On a side note, in solidarity with human beings, though, I will say, it was on my one podcast. They tried to categorize, my one podcast tried to monitor human activity. I think they were trying to show that human activity over time is extremely predictable, and they couldn't do it. Human activity and the way humans act and react is extremely unpredictable, and it doesn't follow any kind of pattern, at all. And so one positive for keeping humans in films and in acting roles is definitely that our intricacies as humans and our unpredictability of our reactions. I mean, that's what makes acting really good actors so good. They're so unpredictable, right? You don't see it coming. You just want to follow it so in the moment. And I think that is at least positive for us not being replaced, because no matter what, AI is going to follow an algorithm, some kind of algorithm or some kind of patterning in the end, because we have to feed it that information. But in the end, humans, there's no substitute for a real authentic connection between human beings. And then of the other thing, sort of what I was talking about, that resonance of connection, and then also the unpredictability of a real human reaction in the moment and what that can be. But even crazy too, on the AI end, for voiceover, there's these new programs now too that you can participate in, which my voiceover agency sent out an email about a couple months ago. And I guess, I don't know the background, so I'm not going to get into the details, but I think SAG had some kind of cooperative meeting or some kind of meeting with this AI company. A voiceover, you can give your voice to this AI company, right? And then instead of auditioning, the AI will just create your audition, and then they can just pay you. You don't do any work. It just takes your voice and does the spot.
Yeah.
I was what? And our agents were do not sign up for this.
Yeah, it's been around. And to take it further, in the visual world, I read that H&M is now incorporating AI with their models. So now the models of H&M now have digital twins. The model can be in New York today, and then if someone in Tokyo wants to employ that model, they have access to the features and general poses of that model. And then AI can put whatever clothing, whatever kind of lighting and photo style they want onto that model's likeness. And the model will agree to that licensing, will agree to a fee. And now, for the first time ever, realistically, we can be in two places at once.
That's insane.
I know. And honestly, Allie, I think it comes down to how AI progresses, and to the extent that it takes over our lives just comes down to it's going to butt heads with commerce and economics and capitalism. And if the bottom line is for companies to save money, then I think we're in real trouble. I think the only way to stop that is for people just to collectively say, no, we don't want this taking over these arching aspects of our humanity. So to be continued, I guess.
Yeah, seriously. That's wild. Ooh.
Yeah. This is all I really want to talk about because it's such a hot button in the moment thing that will affect all of our lives in some form.
100%. It already is. Like it's helping, but then it's double-edged sword. No, it's your double-edged sword again.
But I know that you have pregnancy brain, and I know I want to wrap this, but I do want to mention you're a mother to the adorable, is it Aveline Pearl?
Yeah. Yep. Aveline. Mm-hmm.
Aveline Pearl. I wish my name was Aveline Pearl. God, how did you find the most prettiest name in the universe? Seriously. My God, what a great name.
You're so sweet.
Jesus.
It's like it's a Weezer song, really, but we just changed the spelling. But I think it's an old barbershop quartet song. So there's on the Blue album from Weezer, like back in the day, there's a hidden track. It's called My Aveline.
Mm-hmm.
But it's spelled like Evaline. So we just spelled it Avaline. But it turns out it's a French name, actually, because Cameron Diaz has a winery.
Yes.
And she named it Aveline.
It's the same name. Yeah. I'm aware of that.
So I was like, and it was like, it's just like so it was very random at the time, but it's a long story short. One of my best friends and old roommate from New York City when I lived there, he's obsessed with Cameron Diaz, and he's just always like, who's gonna win the Cameron Diaz lookalike contest this year? It's just like a silly thing that he talks about all the time. And then it turned out that I named my daughter, and I was like, Greg, you're never gonna guess. Cameron Diaz. Oh, it's so crazy. But like I didn't know it at the time. I felt like I was like, is this meant to be? It's a little weird. But anyway, side note.
It's pretty, it's beautiful sounding.
Thank you.
Very nice. Has being a mom changed your path as a creative? In other words, like, are you still inspired to pursue acting today the same way you did 10, 15 years ago?
I am, but it definitely changes things. Like, yes, but in a different way. I think I'm like a way better actor because I just have so much more depth and capacity in my own life, like that has changed just in not just having a kid. I think just in like 10 to 15 years of being a human, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And being alive at a time like this. I think being a mom, you have to really still want to be an actor because there's so many things that kind of get in your way easily. And it's not like a bad thing. It's just like being a parent is a 24/7 job. And if you don't want to be an actor, it's way easier to be like, I don't feel like making that tape tonight at 11 p.m. than to make that tape at 11 p.m.
Yeah.
But I'm really thankful because I think that the self-tape game can be really draining, as we know. But the double-edged sword to the self-tape game is, hey, I can put my kid to bed and then make my self-tape when I need to and not have to make an appointment at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon in New York City. Yeah. You know, I'm still auditioning up until being pregnant again. I was still auditioning for New York stuff a lot, and I don't have to go into the city every time, which is a huge positive on the bank account for sure because of some stuff. I'm sure you get it too,
It gave us time, it gave us flexibility.
100%. And the downside is you don't have that extra set of eyes in the room helping you and coaching you, which does stink because you sometimes just feel like you're blindfolded, like shooting a dart at the wall, trying to hit the target. But the flexibility is really helpful for me as a parent because I don't think I'd be able to audition as much if I wasn't able to do it remotely. I think that is a huge game changer for parents today that are actors versus parents who were actors 15 years ago.
And the funny thing is, like, I'm in class again because of that insecurity of not knowing if I'm kind of in the ballpark with a self-tape. I like to go by the adage of just be in the ballpark, and if you are, you'll get the call back. Mm-hmm. But then again, I hear some casting directors say, we're in a time now where it's almost like Hunger Games, and it's like, you got to nail it. Yeah. And well, how are we supposed to nail it when it's me, myself, and I in front of the camera and no one else? Yeah. And that's, I think if we're overly reliant on in the moment feedback, then we're going to cripple ourselves in our self-tape success.
100%. Well, that's what happens. And then I don't know about you, but it's not so much like when I'm taping, I'm like, okay, I'm doing it. I'm like being critical, watching back, like adjusting. But then when I have to edit it and pick which take is the best, I drive myself insane Because like, I think this is the best, but somebody else is it's so subjective. Like they might have liked this other take better and I would have booked from that other take, but now I'm like,
I think you got to be happy. You got to be happy with the one or two takes you put out there. And I try to limit myself to maybe 4 or 5 tops, because it's way too easy to go down the rabbit hole and have 20 takes. And if you have that, then good luck. You're going to drive yourself nuts.
Yeah, in the editing process. That's me.
Usually, like the last take is probably the best one. I end up using usually the last take most of the times because I'm thinking psychologically, all right, this is good. I don't have to do it again.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
First and last, it seems. It's odd. Like, I don't know. Sometimes first for me is really solid too because I'm not so much in my head yet. I'm just like reacting naturally to what's coming out. And then by the end, I've worked myself enough that I'm actually like warmed up and doing a better job.
Yeah, it's we're in an era of double-edged swords for sure. I appreciated being in the moment. I appreciated hanging out with people before COVID and casting rooms. But at the same time, being able to save time and money with self-tapes post-COVID era has kept me in the business.
Yeah,
I don't know if I would have been able to survive more if things were the same old.
Yeah, traveling all the time and everything.
It's a grind.
It was a grind. Yeah, serious grind.
But to wrap it up, speaking of pearls, Avalline pearls.
Yeah.
Given all of your acting experiences, given your teaching, being a mom, what's a pearl of wisdom that you swear by, that you live by day to day?
I think it's just about maybe like 1 or 2 things. One, like being open to change and evolution, right? Like we are not stagnant human beings. We are always growing, always changing, always evolving, and being grateful for that as an artist so that our artistry can expand and keep growing and changing and being open to that. Because I think like sometimes it's easy to get stuck like in a silo. Like I'm a theater actor. That's what I do. I do theater. But then being open and be like, oh, let me try this other thing. And the playfulness that comes with that. And play. Everything is play. It's going to be much better if you look at it like playful than from the eyes of playing, you know? And I find myself, you're getting really serious. I want to book this job. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's never going to happen like that.
No.
I got to breathe and play. And then, the other thing I was going to say is pearl of wisdom, the change, the play, the breath. There was one other thing and it's lost me now. Maybe
it happens.
Don't get pregnant because you'll lose your brain. But
we men have nothing to complain about, do we? No.
Oh man, it's like my brain is mush, but
it's fine. You've imparted so much, especially with the voice. I mean, it's a lot that we can chew on. It's a lot to. It's very insightful, is what you provided. So I appreciate that. And speaking of that, where can people find more information if they are interested in working with you vocally?
Oh, great. Thanks for that, Paul. I just reworked my professional actor website, which I'm super excited about. And in that process, we're adding like a section to it called Speak Fluence, because we decided, me and my friend who has helped me marketing wise, who's doing my website design, decided that like it's good to and important to sort of like brand myself in that way. And so the Speak Fluence part of my website is forthcoming in the next like month or 2. However, in the interim, if you want to contact me, my actor website, which is Allyson, it's spelled Allyson, Jean, Jean, Malandra, Malandra.com. On there, I have contact info up, like my email. Or if you go to the Fitzmaurice website, I'm listed as a certified teacher. You can find it under like find a teacher. So if you go to, I think it's fitzmauriceinstitute.com, find a teacher. If you search my name, Allyson Malandra, I'll pop right up and you can contact me there too.
Awesome. It's nice that it's not just that we're not just actors. It's like we could also teach people and have that out there as well. And we can be of service to people in more than just being performers. So definitely take advantage of Ally, especially as it pertains to the voice, folks. It's time to stop thinking. It's time to take a rest. I know number 2 is on the way, and
Yes.
Congratulations in advance.
Thank you so much.
I look back fondly on our commercial experiences. I hope that there will be more in the future. But in the meantime, get some rest, take care of yourself. And Allyson Malandra, I appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much, Paul. I've always loved our experiences together too on sets. Hopefully more in the future too. Crossing fingers. And thank you for having me. This has been incredible.
Indeed, my dear. Take care.
Thanks, you too.